For many years, I have received the same question, and it is, what is the best trading session? And this is a question that I can't answer directly because it depends directly on you, because there are 3 keys that we need to know before knowing what session we should trade. The first one is actually where you live. The second is what you trade and what asset you are trading. And the last as well is are you a scalper, an intraday trader, or a swing trader? But don't worry, because in this video I'm going to explain everything so you can understand exactly what trading session you should be aiming for and how you can actually check if your strategy matches your trading session. But before we go more into detail, let me tell you that back down in the description you got a massive discount coupon for Forex Online so you can get it for a cheaper price. And let's start off with the most obvious question: where do you live? Because if you live in Asia, then obviously it makes more sense to trade the Asian session. Obviously you can trade the London session or you can trade the New York session, but you'll be out of your normal routine, okay? Because most of the times you'll be trading at night time or really early in the morning, and that is okay. But you must be aware of that you need to be consistent, because if you're not consistent, then your trading isn't going to work anyway. But here's the thing: if you live in Europe, you have an advantage that you can actually use the London session, okay, the European session, and the New York session, okay, because both are at the same day on daylight, okay. So one, in this case in Europe, one starts 8 o'clock in the morning and the other one starts at 1:30 or 2:30 in the afternoon. So that is completely doable. Another thing is that if you live in New York, okay, in this case in America, you'll be able to trade the New York session, okay, right in the morning, and then as well you can trade the Asian session. But now you need to be aware where you live and which session you actually can be consistently trading, okay, because this is the most important thing in trading, is actually being consistent. So now you've got that in your head, please drop it back down in the comments and let me know where you are trading for. And now let's go on with one of the most important. First of all, do you trade Forex or do you trade futures? Because if you trade futures, the answer is really obvious, because if you're trading on the S&P 500, you are going to trade in the New York session, and there's no other way to do it. Obviously, if you trade in Forex, you can trade the S&P and CFDs, but obviously it's not the same as trading on futures. So if you trade in futures, the answer is completely clear: trade when your market is open, when it's on the correct session. So the S&P is going to be on the American session. And the same happens if you're trading DAX. DAX is basically Germany, and Germany is European session, so you're only going to be trading on the European session. So you must have that clear. But now we can go to the Forex, and probably most of you trade Forex. And here is where we need to actually sit down carefully and see what asset we're going to trade, because obviously Forex is open 23 hours a day, so we need to be careful on what asset we're actually going to trade. What I tend to do, and what I mostly like to do as well, is obviously trade assets that are open. So in this case, the euro against the dollar is perfect for me because I live in Europe. So basically I can trade the euro in the morning and the dollar in the afternoon. As well, I could easily pick the GBP against the USD, so the pound against the dollar. And as well, I can trade the pound in the morning and the dollar in the afternoon. So I've always got high momentum, because what we don't want to do is have low momentum assets, only unless your trading strategy actually matches this low volatile profile, like basically looking for small ranges. But the thing is that if there's not a lot of liquidity, not a lot of movement, the spreads tend to open up a lot. So obviously we need to find an asset that really matches our requirements, especially because if we're swing trading, it hasn't got to do anything with if we're scalping. For swing trading, you can pick any asset you want. But if we're scalping, obviously we need to be in the peak moment, because there's more liquidity, less spread, and we have more chances of getting better moves. So like I say, if you're trading Forex, I would always pick the pairs that actually work on your trading session. So if you're European and you're going to trade the Europe session and the American session, and basically euro against the dollar, pound against the dollar, or any asset that opens in Europe and opens in New York as well, we could just use one. So if we're only going to work on the American session, then we could just use any pair that is paired with the USD as well, like gold and other assets that open at that time. And here's where comes a really interesting question. If we're scalping or doing intraday trading, there is a small gap. If we're scalping, we can actually only select one session, because we'll probably get 2, 3, 4 trades in that session. But if we're intraday trading, we'll probably just get maybe 1 trade a day, maybe 2. So here we must take in consideration as well that if we start in the London session, we might be finishing off in the American session. And obviously we need to be aware of this because this can affect our metrics. Maybe we should close the trades before the New York session opens, whatever. But as well, don't worry, because at the end of the video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can mix and match all this together so you can understand if your strategy actually matches your trading session. But as well, here comes another big point. Are you a swing trader? If you're a swing trader, then you can completely forget about the sessions because obviously, yeah, you can say, okay, I'm going to open my trade on the London session or the New York session. But by the rest, you shouldn't be actually too aware of the trading sessions because if you're swing trading, you're looking to keep a position open for a few days. So at the end of the day, looking at the session isn't so productive and you'd probably be on a better end if you actually just look at your trading strategy and making it better. So now we've got things clear. We know where we live. And if you don't know where you live, you have a problem. Then as well, what we are trading, if we're trading Forex or futures, if we're trading futures, then we're going straight to the session where we're trading at where that future stock opens. And if we're trading Forex, we're going to select the best assets that can actually work on that trading session. And the last is our trading style. Are we a scalper? Are we an intraday trader? Or are we a swing trader? So now we've got all this together, every one of you that are watching should more or less know, okay, I'll be probably better trading the London session, or I'll be better trading the American session, or I'll be trading the Asian session. You'll have your own idea in there. And now with the feature that I'm going to show you now, you'll be able to actually confirm that your strategy actually works on your session. So if we come into Forex Online, you'll be able to see I've got a nice example here of a backtest made at 26%, and something that I want to show quickly because you'll be able to understand better how the sessions work. In this case, I'm on the euro against the dollar. And as you can see, the euro against the dollar in Asia had a maximum range of only 23 pips. Meanwhile, in the London session, it went up to 68 pips. And if we take it from the low to the high of the New York session was 127 pips. And this is more or less the average that if we're on the euro against the dollar in Asia, we're not going to get a lot of movement because obviously it's not pushing. But when the London session opens, it's pushing the euro, and when the New York session opens, it's pushing the dollars. And as well, the volatility tends to stay more or less the same on all the assets as well, because the Asian tends to have less momentum, the London has a medium momentum, and the New York has a maximum momentum. Obviously, this doesn't happen exactly the same on every single asset, but we can have an idea of if our trading style is more focused on ranges, we'll be able to focus more on an Asian London session more than a London New York session, because in New York we'll tend to have more expansive movements, and if we're trading ranges, then obviously this won't work out. But let's go with the tool because it's the most important, because obviously I can say I want to trade on the London session, but if that London session isn't good for my strategy, then I'm doing nonsense. So if we come to analytics, it's this unique feature that will help you out a lot, and we come to trading session analysis, and this is quite hidden because most of the times it doesn't pop out as a point to improve, because maybe the profit factor and the win rate are similar between sessions, but sometimes it does pop into points to improve, and it's really interesting even to look at it, even if it comes in under strength. If we click on, we'll be able to see completely how it performed in each session, okay, from the London silver bullet, the European session, the Asian session, the New York silver bullet, and the New York session. As you can see, this strategy that I tested out in the European session had a 90% win rate, and in the New York session it had an 88% win rate. As well, the profit factor is really similar, from 5.81 to 5.63. So in this trading strategy, there's no difference between the London and the New York. If I do 1,000 trades, they'll probably reflect a bigger difference, because this is just a small example. And in this case, in the European session, there's only 20 trades, and the New York session, there's only 18 trades. But like I say, if I take this to a bigger example of 1,000 trades, you'll probably see that there's a big difference here. And this is especially with scalping and intraday trading. Like I say, if we're using swing trading, we wouldn't be looking at this, because at the end of the day, the session isn't so relevant for us because we're looking for bigger movements. But obviously in scalping, we're looking for 5, 10, 15 pips, and intraday we would be easily looking for 20, 30 pips. So in this case, for scalping and intraday, you should be looking at the session. If not, completely forget about it. And honestly, this tool here is one of the most powerful ones that you can find in Forex Online, because at the end of the day, it's telling you exactly what session is suited for you. So what I tend to do is I'll do a back test from the Asian session to the New York session, okay, through all the day, in this case scalping or intraday, and then come to the trading session analyst and I say, okay, the London session seems to give me better performance than the New York session. So what I'll do is I'll just backtest again on the London session and see how the overall performance is, if I'm losing a lot of money, or if I'm not losing, because obviously having a better result on the European session can improve the metrics, but maybe you're actually losing money because even the New York session isn't as good as the European session. It still gives money, it's still profitable, and you can still make money out of it. So personally, that's what I do when I want to select what session I'm going to use a strategy, because at the end of the day, the session, the strategy, and the asset need to be combined together to actually have a good balance, and obviously so you can stay consistent with your trading, because like I say, being consistent is the most important. Even if you've got a 51% win rate strategy with a risk reward of 1-to-1, that is the minimum that you need. If you're not consistent, you're not going to be profitable, and that's the most important thing that you must keep in your mind. And as well, like I say, use the trading session analysis tool so you can see where your strategy is performing better, and if it's not performing well enough in your session, then you just need to work on a different strategy or basically renew your own strategy. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something new. Please don't forget the massive discount that you got down in the description for Forex Online, so you can get this tool and make your trading better. And as always, my name is Jack, and I'll see you next time.